each other. And we look around you, it's a very diverse group. We have representatives from the local government, we have representatives from NGOs and advocates, we have representatives also from the academy. So throughout the day, I hope we also not just learn from the resource persons that will be joining us later, but also from each other's experience.
Hello, good morning. I have no Yaya today, so she came with me. My name is Julia. I think I see a lot of familiar faces. Nice to catch up with everyone today, hopefully, on this important topic. Thank you for inviting me. And my presentation is, just very brief. It's Testimonio. So that public space is so important. And we know that we like it because it's really what makes a city a city. I'm very interested on that finding from the study which says that people didn't find the same sense of satisfaction from going to a mall as they did from going to a park. Because it's very true, even if you think of when you go to any country in the world, like I just came back now I was able to go to London and to some cities in Spain. I was just in Chicago, along the Riverwalk. Anywhere that you go, of course there's attractions, but how do you want to see them? You want to walk around. You want to be able to explore and feel and listen and really take in the city. We need public space to do that. I think it's been, of course, in the Philippines, it has a much more urgent agenda in the sense that green infrastructure is extremely critical to the resiliency of our cities. We need to be able to absorb water, we need to be able to control climate. All of these add a different agenda to this topic. So I think public space is very personal to each of us. And so I chose this picture. This is a picture of Escolta, which is a community that I've been personally very involved in. And this is the daytime activities of the Escolta Block Festival, which we close the street off and have, community events, market, music. It's a great time for people to take back the street and be able to enjoy this historic area in a different way. And so I think, this for me, it really embodies why public space is important. Being able to participate in public space is extremely important because it makes two measurements that we like to think about. The World Health Organization recommends that there is 9 square meters of public space per person in an urban area. So we think about Metro Manila or the cities in the Philippines, we think about, so how much space should we be allocating? An international standard is 9 square meters. We don't have the data right now on all the cities, but I think that we can probably assume, most of us, that we don't have 9 square meters of space for each of us. So aside from the amount, the other indicator that we could use is accessibility. Something like La Mesa Ecodam is a large green space for Metro Manila, right? But how do you get there? You're gonna have to drive there, or you're gonna have to cross Commonwealth on your own. It's not that easy, right? So the other thing we'd like to do, and a lot of other cities are campaigning for this, is that every person should live within a 10-minute walk to a park. So aside from the amount of space and the 10-minute walk, what is going to actually make a great place? There's a lot of factors that contribute to that. I think some of them were mentioned, safety, security, sense of, do you feel welcome? Do you not feel welcome? If there's security guards, or if there's a fee. Is it well lit? And I think it's also very importantly, what are the uses that are there opportunities for recreation? Is there gym equipment? Is there a park for kids? Is there good tree cover? All of these contribute to the quality of the public space as well. Uses and activities, comfort and image, and access and linkages are some of the considerations when we talk about what makes a great place. What makes a place that people are going to enjoy actually spending time in? Because the goal at the end of the day with a public space is supposed to be to encourage people to actually spend time there and feel welcome to spend time there. Oftentimes here in the Philippines, we design things in a way that it doesn't really look like we want people to use them, right? You're going to put a park in the middle of a rotunda that no one can walk to. You're going to large fence around a statue at a plaza that people can only go inside if that gate is open, right? So we need to really consider how we want. I think firstly we need to make it a priority that we want people to use this space and enjoy it. Some of the ways that it's happening now on the ground here in the Philippines, you know, because lack of space is such a critical issue in this topic, especially for Metro Manila, we're finding ways around it. One of them is to redesign roads. So in the case of Iloilo, that's the one up there, which I'm sure you're all mostly familiar with. In the case of Iloilo, it was to say, okay, this is no longer a bypass road, this is now going to be a park, right? So redesign and repurpose your roads and also our streets. The streets are the primary percentage of public space in any city in the world. Not everywhere will have a large central park. We're not going to be able to put in a Luneta Park in all cities again, but you can transform the roads and be able to convert them into really quality public spaces. You can also transform underutilized spaces. This is more famous in other cities, like in New York with the High Line, right, where there's an abandoned rail infrastructure that was repurposed to a park. That photo that I have there is actually under a bridge in Davao, which has been converted to a skate park. So, you know, that's also an option. Left is to repurpose land. The TLC Park in Taguig was a landfill before it was turned into a park. So that's another option, is to actually change the, you know, use underutilized lands, something like a landfill, convert it into a park. Other examples like that. What I noticed here, you know, we might be waiting to find large tracts of land, but you can also look at combining areas of interest. So in the case of, that's bottom right hand photo is in Cebu, outside of a fish market. So there was a small lot outside the fish market where they put a playground, which I think is actually extremely, extremely smart, because you should be putting public spaces where people go every single day, right? So if we focus even just on the Palenque, for instance, any space around there or in the courtyard of it or anything, just putting in a playground where women go and shop every day and probably bring their children as well, can be one way to make it, you know, 10-minute walk from a lot of different residential areas. So what are the challenges? I think, although there's, you know, I really don't see it yet as a priority. We need to change that. It really needs to be understood at a very wide level, the public and then up to the decision makers, that we cannot continue to build cities. We will not survive if we don't consider public space. Look at how many people that is. If you go to outside the CCP in the morning and you see the number of people jogging and playing badminton and going for a walk with their families, if you go to Rizal Park, you see the Arnis, you see the Zumba, you see all the different activities, the students, big groups of students practicing dance, practicing theater. I mean, I do think the demand is there, but there's not a voice for it yet. So who have design experience for public space, who are even taking those courses to begin with, are very few. We need to train more professionals. So I think this year we had a record number of people take the environmental planning exam, so that was great. We need to train those people to now be specialists on this area of designing public space. We need to graduate more students in general, and we need to support more research. I mean, I know that when you're doing your literature review for this in the Philippines, I mean, it's not extensive, right? Sometimes we're designing a plaza the same way it was designed by the Spanish, right? How do people want to use space today, and how can it be different? What does a very truly Filipino park look like? You know, I think that these are still dialogues that need to happen that we don't have enough information about. There's two that are very important. One would be to improve design standards, because right now, like especially for roads, it's only about how to design a road to move a car. Not, you know, thinking of the streetscape as this dynamic, vibrant public space for a city, for instance. And I would also strengthen the planning system, which of course is very, very broad, but more participation, I think also better guidelines in terms of planning for public space and training people and allowing for that capacity building at all levels from the bottom up to make sure that we are able to deliver the kind of public space agenda that we truly need to change the narrative here in the Philippines.